by virtue of humans creating machines for their own upliftment or for their own assistance, it is pertinent to assume that yes, the machine should follow our rules. So even in the olden days when industrial revolution was big, right? Uh, a lot of farmers who stopped farming and went into industry, right? A lot of lives were lost while using the machines because the machines were lethal. You touch something and your hand got chopped. I mean, you
They're
lot of
very powerful,
yeah, a
yes.
lot of deaths happened because of lack of knowledge of how to use the machine. Once that was implemented, like as a assembly line or rules and procedures for using the instrument and all, the machines would always follow those rules. They are designed to follow those rules for the betterment of humanity. The same canvas should apply for these technologies also. They should follow rules of ethics, and which is a complicated one. I'll get there. But the presumption is that yes, they have to do this because they are serving humanity in the end. They are not serving themselves. So, but coming to the ethics and responsible AI, uh, it is a little far to gauge that. And there will be control centers that would want to ensure that these things are not in place.
Fair.
Okay. And when GDPR came in Europe, the entire tech industry was taken aback. I mean, there were transformation programs undergoing in companies to align with GDPR guidelines. Then Europe and UK came with this Online Harms Act, okay, which specifies that any social media owner, like an X or a Facebook or an Insta, they have to disclose their algorithms in entirety to be allowed in Europe or UK, which is impossible to do from a Facebook or an Insta perspective because they really don't know what's going on. It's a black box AI. You don't know what goes inside. So then there is a term called explainable AI that came in as a result of it. It's called XAI. And now there's the research ongoing on how to create an AI model that can also explain itself. That's why you have seen GPT phase by phase, it'll tell you how it is coming to the conclusion or the summary, right? It's all part of that explainable because Europe and UK enforced it. And I hope the DPDP Act or any AI Act that India gets has to be one level above what Europe has done. Because at this point in time, I think I'd like to bring out on 23rd July, the US government came out with its own action plan. It's called the American AI Action Plan, where, I mean, it's a draft right now, um, where they want the Americans to model AI and the American model of AI to be consumed by its allied partners worldwide. So, what we saw in the 30s and 40s about Hollywood as a cultural renegade for the rest of the world, now we are looking at this weaponization for the civilizational destruction. If we are following AI models the way we followed American research in the 70s, when ghee was called bad because it was fatty. In 70s, ghee was called bad. Generationally, we stopped
Having heat.
having ghee, right? Now, they're saying ghee is great. It's got omega 3, omega 9, all of the good fats and all. It's great. It brings out brain alertness and all that. Now, imagine 30, 40 years we've not had ghee. So, two generations of Indians have already been dumbed down because of that research undertaken on Americans in America. The same threat I'm perceiving as a result of these AI things. So, absolutely. I mean, we have to ensure that it's ethical and ethical from Indian standards. I mean, for our civilizational, it has to be beneficial. In India, you took the example of, you know, driverless cars, self-driving cars. If I'm wrong, I think 30% of Indian youth die in road accidents today. 30 or probably less. I'm not sure of the numbers, probably between 20 and 30 in India. Now, with driverless cars that comes in, and we Indians are very cool, huh? We are very jugadu. So, because the driver is not there, and the law says the driver is held accountable for any accident, If the driver is not there and you're actually, inebriated, or you're having a, party in the car and the car hits it, who's accountable? Is it the driverless car, or is it the senseless use of the driverless car for your selfish needs? Right? So there is a human element. I really don't want to discount the human element of rashness, of abuse, right? Of all of that. And we have to be responsible. We have to be conscious of it. As I said earlier, unless you're conscious of your actions, these things are bound to go out of control. So accountability with the service provider where it is fair, or with the people where it is fair.
And what does responsible AI really mean in practice? I mean, who defines what is responsible?
This is a very, very, it's not a homogeneous entity that will define what is a responsible AI or what is an ethical AI. For far too long, cultures like ours, cultures like African, they've been relegated. We are not accounted for in the worldly discourses or policy making. I think who decides who defines responsible AI should be the custodians of the technology, basically us, the users, and civilizational custodians. They have to define what is ethical. So, for example, the ethics in India probably would vary from ethics in, let's say, Nigeria or South Africa or the Zambia or Zimbabwe. I'm specifically taking African names because we are all part of Global South, and we need to ensure that our voice is heard, right? So, each of those cultures, their paradigms, their ethics should flow into their model. Our paradigm, our ethics should flow into our model. Australian Aboriginals, Hopi Indians in North America. I mean, we are all, you know, ancient civilizational cultures that have our own ethics formulated already in detail, in great detail. Our Shastras are immensely deep in these things. So we don't need a Western hand to tell us what is responsibility, what is ethics, and all of that. We will do it ourselves, but we got to do it ourselves in a very, very quick fashion. Otherwise we will lose time, because America came up with their own AI action plan. Unless India comes up with its own action plan focused on ethics and morals and all that, we will lose the train again, right? We've lost the mobile revolution, right? And we will maybe lose this AI revolution also. So India has to be very, very quick. The regulation has to be absolutely swift. The red tapeism has to be minimal, right? Things have to move really fast, and wherever required, consult the practitioners. For example, we are running a pilot on dharmic AI, okay, where we are consulting Sanskrit experts on Shastras, and we are also working with computer scientists in US and in India on how we can algorithmize those Shastras as they are. Because these Shastras like Kautilya's Arthashastra or Vidur's Niti Shastra or Tantra Yukti, all of these have behavioral models within them. I mean, each of those suktas is a solid behavioral model. How a man should be, how a woman should be. I mean, not at the thing of gender, inequality and all that, but how a behavior should be. Can that be codified as a ready-made behavioral model to drive ethics and behavioral righteousness? Right? That is what we are on to. Because as I said, who we are is into virtual reality and all that, and we are building a metaverse. That metaverse has to have a responsible consumption rate. So we want the behavioral analysis to come out of these suktas into AI, and we will reward the users of the metaverse when they use it less. Okay, so it is counterproductive to what social media is doing now. They are rewarding people who use more, and you become habitual. We want to desist it, because technology as such, you take you have a temple walkthrough, you feel devotional about it, you come out of the metaverse, right? So we want to bring those things in. The sooner India does this, we will be able to help the global south with similar models, and they can tweak based on their civilizational ethics. Unless we do it, I don't think the control centers in the Silicon Valley, they are not worried about these things at all. right? They follow an Ayn Rand kind of philosophy, right? At least that kind of philosophy. They always will play victims. Whenever Congress calls these guys, they'll say, oh, we are victims, we are doing our best, we are for societal good and all that. But hindsight, they are not doing any of it. They are okay with profits, they are okay with more investments, as long as their agenda is met. So we can't bank on them to tell us what is ethics, what is responsible AI and all. We have to build it ourselves with our own cultural nuggets.